Hey gang, we're here together again for science. Today we're going to move from the human and animal stuff that we were doing last week for science with regards to living things, and we're going to move into plants. And the first thing I want to go over are the 8 things that tell you that something is alive, because these seem to be a little bit of a struggle for some of the kids with regards to plants. Okay, so I'm going to start with the easiest one. A plant is alive if it can die. Okay, so we know that plants are alive because plants die all the time. At the end of the season, very often plants will die. You will see maybe trees dying or being cut down because they're dying. Sorry if you can hear that screaming. My son is playing video games with his father downstairs right now. The second thing is that it can grow. We know that all humans, or sorry, all plants, all things that are alive grow. We see the grass growing right now. We see the flowers growing right now. We see the trees growing right now, all the leaves coming back and that sort of thing. So we know it is alive if it can grow. Okay, the third thing is that living things with regards to plants react to things. So yeah, maybe if I kick a soccer ball into the bushes, the bush doesn't jump out of the way, but when it gets colder, the leaves fall off of certain plants. When a flower dies, the plant will discard it and get rid of it. The petals will fall off of a flower when it is done, when it is dying. The grass, if you cover it and don't give it any sun, it will turn brown. Okay, it reacts to different things that happen in the environment. Okay, they can reproduce. So, like a human can have a baby, they have a little human. Plants can also reproduce and make other plants. It's called seeds. So every plant that grows has a seed in it somewhere. So you can take that seed and you can reproduce it. You know those lovely yellow flowers that we see all over everybody's lawn that most parents can't stand, the dandelions? Well, when they turn to those white puffy things, those are actually their seeds. And then the wind blows and it blows those white puffy things everywhere, or as my son loves to do, is to pick them up and blow them. And you're basically sending the dandelion seeds all over the place. They get into the ground and some of them take root and they start to grow again. And that's how we get so many dandelion seeds. So if you get one of those white ones, grab it by the top and throw it in the garbage. Don't let those seeds go anywhere else. We don't need any more dandelions in this world. Anyway, moving on. Number 5, they eat or drink. So we eat or drink, and most animals eat or drink through their mouths. They open their mouths, they put the food inside. Plants are a little bit different. They take the water in through their roots, okay, which we're going to talk about today. And they have little factories inside their leaves that turn the sunlight into the food that the plant requires. That's why it needs sunlight. And that's why in the winter, when the sun moves further away from the earth, certain plants cannot survive because it's not warm enough for them to make the food they need. So they either will die or they will go to sleep and then they will come back again the next year. Excuse me. So I kept the last 3 for the ones that most students had trouble with. So number 6 was that a plant can move. No, a plant cannot jump out of the ground and run over somewhere else. No, it cannot move like that. But plants will turn towards the sun. Okay, they will often move. I don't know if any of you tried it last time. I mentioned this. My son has some sunflowers that are growing in our window, and when we wake up in the morning and we open the blinds, they are actually pointing towards the window. They're tilted a little bit towards the window. We have tried taking them and turning them around so they're pointing into the house, and by the next morning, they're pointing out again. Okay, it's a very subtle movement, but they do move. Okay, making waste. This kind of goes hand in hand with the breathing. Okay, so part of it is they breathe in the carbon dioxide in the air and they give off oxygen, which is what we need. We breathe in the oxygen and we actually breathe out the carbon dioxide, which the plants need. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. We give to them, they give back to us. So that is part of their waste. They give off the oxygen that they don't need, but they also get rid of things on themselves that they don't need. So if I've got some geraniums out front, which is a flower. It's one stem and it has a whole bunch of little flowers going off of it, and each of them has their own little set of petals. And when they start to die, they start getting rid of all of their petals. That's what they do. And then if I'm watching, I snip off the stem, and you'll see another one pop up with little closed buds just waiting to take all those nutrients and to open up and start growing again. So it actually gets rid of the parts of it that are dying when you're talking about a flower. Same thing in the wintertime. When the fall comes and all the leaves change colors, the tree is actually getting rid of its leaves, sending them off, so it can go to sleep for the winter. And then in the summer or the springtime, when it starts to get warm again, then it starts to open up again and says, okay, now I'm ready to grow some new leaves. Okay, so those are the 8 things with plants. I hope that clears up a little bit for some of you. And remember, it has to have all 8 things to be alive. So you can't check off yes for 7 of them and no for the last one and then say that thing is alive. It has to have all of them. And I'm pretty sure you guys know by now, humans, animals, and plants are the things that are alive on this earth. Okay, let's move on today. Today we're going to talk about the parts of a plant. Okay, so I'm going to make that our title today, parts of a plant. Ready? Parts of a plant. And the plant I'm going to do is a flower, because not all plants have flowers. All plants will have some sort of something on them. Some, like the apple tree starts with a flower, starts with an apple blossom, and that apple blossom actually turns into an apple. And then inside the apple is where the seeds are. Okay, but we're just going to go with simple flowers for right now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need when we have let's see if I can, does that help at all? No, not really, eh? If I can get this up a little higher. Better. A little higher. Okay, that'll have to do for now. Okay, so here is my soil. Okay, so that's the first thing we need, is we need soil. Okay, so all this down here is my soil. It can be in a cup, it can be the ground, it can be whatever you like. I like to start my plants in a cup because they just have a little bit of area and to keep water in. If you put a little tiny seed into a great big garden, very often it won't grow and you'll have some trouble. That's why I like to do it this way. Okay, now the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your seed into the soil. Okay, so I'm just going to draw you a little seed there. That'll be my little seed. Okay, now my seed, you don't want to plant the seed too low into the ground. You don't want to plant the seed too high in the soil, because if it's too low, the sun's rays won't get to it. And if it's too high, the sun's rays will just burn it. Okay, so you want to plant it in there so it's okay. Now, the first thing that you're going to have to give it, and I apologize for my colors being very, very raw, but I don't have all the colors I need. You need to give it sunlight, okay? And you need to give it, no, that's a bad choice. And you need to give it some water, okay? So we'll play that's rain, okay? You need to give it some water. Once you give the seed the soil, lots of space and air, and you have its sun and the water, that's the 5 things it needs: sun, soil, air, water, and space to move. Then the conditions are right and it's going to start growing. The first thing that a plant is going to do is it's going to sprout some roots. Now, roots are almost like little straws that go down into the ground in search of water. Okay, and they actually work like straws. They suck the water, they suck the nutrients that they need out of the soil, and they bring it into the seed to get the seed going to start growing. Okay, once this happens, so this part is happening under the ground. You're not going to see this part happening. In probably a week or so, you're going to see something sprout up through the ground. Okay, so from the roots, it's going to sprout. Hang on a second. The green is not working very well today. Okay, we're going to pretend it's green. I don't know why my green is all of a sudden not working, and it started getting really dark in my house right now. All right, so here we go. We're going to have a purple stem. So now the stem is the first thing you're going to see growing. Okay, the stem is going to come up. So now the first thing that's going to grow from the stem is going to be leaves. This is the first thing you're going to see, leaves. There's going to be leaves. There's going to be leaves here, there's going to be leaves here, there's going to be leaves all over the place. This is the first thing you're going to see, okay? The stem and the leaves. Now, the leaves are very, very light, so the stem can hold them. As the stem gets bigger and bigger and stronger, then it will be closer and closer to holding a flower. But if you had a flower right away with a skinny little stem, the stem's just going to fall over because the flower just weighs too much. Okay, it needs to get a nice big thick stem first. All right, so this is going to be like this for quite a while usually. Most flowers will be like this for quite a while. And then what's going to happen is we're going to get something that kind of looks like, hang on a second, I'll see if I can change colors a little bit. It's going to kind of look like this, okay? And it's not quite a flower, but it's going to become one, okay? It is called a bud, okay? It doesn't look like a leaf. You can tell it looks very different. Some of them it's a little ball, sometimes it's a little oval, and it'll get bigger and 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 bigger. And then eventually it's going to open up or bloom. Bloom is the word we want to look at. Here, I'll make another one over here. It's going to open up and it's going to bloom into a flower. Okay, it's going to bloom into a flower. Okay, so now let's name some of the things that we've got here. Okay, so down here, who can remember what these are called? That's right, they're called roots. Roots. Okay, these are called the roots. Now the first thing that grows up through the ground, what is that called? This long stick-looking thing. This is called the stem. Stem, okay? And the first thing that grows off of the stem, the first thing we're going to see, these guys, what's this? That's right, a leaf. Okay, we're going to see a leaf first, or leaves. Okay, and there's going to be lots of leaves and more leaves, and it's going to get taller, and it's going to get fatter, and it's going to get stronger. And when it's ready, first you're going to see a bud. You're going to see a bud. Okay, and then after we see a bud, the bud is going to bloom into a flower. Okay, into a flower. That's the end. Okay, these are the parts of the flower that you're going to work on today. Okay, I have a worksheet for you. Okay, it's very, very simple. You can either print it off if you're able, you color it, cut out the words at the bottom and paste them where they go. If you can't, you can do it right online. And if you can't do that, you can reproduce it the best you can separately on your own and then show it to me. You can draw this for me, okay, exactly like it is here. If you have your own whiteboard, draw your own thing and label it for me, okay? Because that's all we're doing today is learning the parts of the plant. Okay, so we'll see you guys soon. Have fun.